And this is Govind Kumar Chaturvedi on behalf of the Virtual Lawyer. We are today having a very interesting interactive session with Senior Advocate Mr. Romesh Gautam sir, Dr. Romesh Gautam sir. Sir is Padma Shri. And today we'll be talking about something very important, which is the National Education Policy. And just to give you a brief background of sir will be joining us shortly, and this will be an interactive session. Just to give you a very brief background about sir, is that so Dr. Ramesh Gautam sir is a senior advocate, Supreme Court of India. He's been in the practice for more than 35 years. I think he's here, so let's just bring him on and then give his introduction. Hello, sir.
Hello, Govind. How are you?
Wonderful, sir. It's always a pleasure, always to be in your company, even if it's digital.
Thank you so much. Thank you. No, you can come physically also. That's not a problem.
I hope so, sir. I was just telling the audience right now as they were joining us of your many achievements,
Sure.
and I was
Yes.
making them aware of what all you've been. So I'll just continue that, sir, if you won't mind.
So please carry on. Carry on,
So
please. Carry on.
he has also completed LLB, LLM, and LLD, PhD in law. He's also been awarded the honoris causa by 5 prestigious universities. He's a visiting professor. He has been Advocate General for 7 states. He is endorser for climate principles for enterprises. He has conducted several cases of national and international importance that we all know, sir. His clients include central ministers, governors, and chief ministers. He has advised many foreign bankers, which either too many to even know. They go all the way from the Swiss Bank Corporation, the KfW in Germany, Barclays, London Lloyd Bank, etc. Who have accepted his advice and granted huge amounts of loan to the government of India in 1994. He is the first Indian lawyer to have conducted the international dispute review boards. He is also the third lawyer in the whole world to conduct ATR cases. He has acted as an arbitrator and also as a counsel in a number of arbitration cases. And let's not forget one of the most humble achievements I didn't know about, sir. I have known sir for quite some time, but I got to know recently, sir, that you're a Padam Shri. Yes, sir.
It was long time back. Yes.
It's an amazing achievement, sir. And not only that, sir is also a professor of law, an author, a writer, a motivational speaker, a political strategist and analyst. He is also global chairman and director general for International Human Rights Organization, World Chairman Legal, All India Council of Human Rights, Liberties and Social Justice, Chairman Legal for Hindu Sanathan Dahani, Chairman and National Legal Advisor for ABMS, National Legal Advisor for Sri Parusharam International Fellow, and Senior Member of the Indian Council of Arbitration and Bar Association of India. He is also the recipient of 78 national and international awards. He holds the title of International Jurist and Barrister in the Inns of the Court. He holds awards such as Pride of Nation, Bharat Gaurav. I think, sir, your introduction takes such long.
Too many.
It tires the introduce. He's like, okay.
Yes.
So, sir,
Right.
it's just amazing to, and sir, most importantly, I would just say that someone who's had so many achievements, such humbleness from your side, it's always inspiring to us young juniors and, budding lawyers, just keep
Thank
working,
you so much.
just
Okay.
keep our eyes on the goal, and not look here and there, and just, life will come itself. That is one of the
Yes.
major teachings I've always,
One has to be.
one lesson I've seen just looking at you, sir. And so it's just amazing honor just to have you here, sir. And I hope you're having a good day, sir. Everything's good.
Yeah. Everything is fine. Thank you so much. Everything is
So
fine.
here we are to talk about the national education policy with you, sir. You know about that. And
Right.
I'm sure you have a lot of
Yes.
opinions on it. And it's very new, sir. I don't personally myself have a lot of views on it. But I do think that, it is somewhat required or not required. Matlab, that's somewhere in the middle about it. So my first question
Yeah.
to you is, what are your views on the NEP, sir?
See, what I'll speak about the policy is, my views are quite neutral on this.
All right, sir.
And there is not much difference between the previous education policy and what has been advertised now about the new education policy. There is not much of difference. I think government could have taken a more holistic view. It could have been made more effective. But what has happened is everything requires internet
Yes.
under the new education policy. Everything requires internet. And in our country, internet is not that much accessible to everyone.
Correct.
You know, in villages, in a small town, for poor people, internet is a luxury.
Yes.
So once the internet is not available so easily and so not cost effective, also it is expensive for those who cannot afford it. So I think there is not much difference which the government should have made, and people are not able to know what the new education policy is, how they can educate themselves. That is all depending on internet, because internet is something which is required. That is a flaw in the new education policy, I would say.
That is
That is a
flaw. Yes, I agree with that, because internet itself, in fact, within
Yes.
Delhi, getting a good accessible connection to internet is a problem in itself, I've seen. So, there are some.
Yes, internet is not that effective in our country. That's the problem, because what we are facing even in the virtual courts and virtual hearings, there are problems in the internet. Even in that, sometimes we speak something and the judges will hear. Judges will ask something, and we are not able to understand what they are asking because of internet.
Now, that is a major
So
problem.
that is a problem. That is a major problem.
Even if we go with a lot of that, the new mobile networks, but mobile networks aren't available everywhere in India. And that is a problem.
Right.
So, as you say, there is a problem here. So, what according to you is the ideal way of implementing this policy? Like, what would you suggest? Like, how to implement it? Like, since it's already out.
See, any policy for that matter, that's effectiveness is depending on its implementation. Implementation will require multiple initiative, many actions which have to be taken by the multiple bodies and in a synchronized and systematic manner. So implementation of this policy will be led by various bodies, which is the Ministry of HRD, CABE, Union and State governments, education related ministries, State Department of Education, boards,
Yes.
NTA, and the regulatory bodies of the school, of higher education, NCERT, SCERT, schools, and many more organizations. And the plan for review, that is to ensure that the policy is implemented in its spirit and the intent through coherence in planning and synergy across all those bodies involved in education. So implementation is something which is very, very important, I would say, and it will be guided by many principles. Firstly, the implementation of the spirit and the intent of the policy will be the most critical matter. Second, it is important to implement the policy initiatives in a phased manner, as each policy point has several steps, each of which requires previous steps to be implemented successfully, one by one. You have to implement it one by one, not that you can implement it otherwise. And the third is you have to give priority. Priority will be important in ensuring the optimal sequences of the policy points. And then that the most critical and urgent actions are to be taken up first, thereby enabling a strong base. And fourth is comprehensiveness in its implementation will be the key, as it is the policy is interconnected and holistic. Then only a full-fledged implementation and not a piecemeal implementation is not possible, and it's not appropriate also. So that has to have the desired objective and achieved. And fifth point about it is since the education is a concurrent subject, it is a concurrent in the concurrent list, union list, concurrent list and the state list. So education is in the concurrent. The state can also have policy, the union can have policy. So it is a subject which is to be dealt with by the center as well as the state. So that is in being the concurrent subject, it will require careful planning, joint monitoring, and collaborative implementation between the center and the state. And the sixth point is the timely infusion of the requisite resources, human, infrastructural, financial, at the center and state level will be crucial, and the satisfactory execution of the policy. And if we go further, finally, if we go further, finally, careful analysis and review of the linkages between multiple parallel implementation steps will be necessary in order to ensure effectiveness of all initiatives. So this will include early investment of some of the specific actions, such as the setting up of the early childhood care and education infrastructure. That will be imperative to ensure a strong base and a smooth progression of subsequent programs and action. Subject-wise implementation, committees of experts in cooperation with the consultation with other relevant ministries will be set up at the both center and state level to develop the detailed implementation plan of each aspects of the policy in accordance with the above principles to achieve the goals of the policy in a clear and phased manner. Yearly joint reviews of the progress of the implementation of the policy in accordance with the targets set for each action. That will be conducted by designated teams constituted by Ministry of HRD and states. So it is something not so easy to implement. Policy has to be something which is easy to implement so that people at large are benefited. So that I don't see in it. That is what my view is.
That's very interesting analysis, sir. And you've broken it down very well in these various points. I agree with you completely on these points. And yes, the state and the center have to work in tandem. However, sir, getting back to the point,
Yes.
sir, it's been years that the state government has been receiving significant amounts of funds to help improve education facilities in the country. The country talks about achievements in Delhi where government schools are being compared to private schools, like Kejriwal's.
Yes.
So what about the rest of the states? Funding has never been a problem. So do you think increasing the educational budget to 6% of the GDP will solve the problem?
See, merely adding 6% of GDP to the education budget, it doesn't help. It really doesn't help. In order to education to take on front, which in my opinion is very much needed, because education is something which is very, very important subject.
Yes, sir.
So in a country like ours, there has to be a greater budget for education. Government schools in Delhi are comparable to private schools only because of the focus of the government of Delhi since 2014. Now they are becoming better. Otherwise, what was the condition of the government school?
Yes.
I think it was worse. It was worse.
Very bad. Sorry.
And there are other metropolitan cities which are not having that kind of facilities, which are not having that kind of infrastructure, which are not having that kind of reforms in the government schools. So merely adding 6% doesn't help.
You think so 6% really won't help of the entire GDP?
No, it will not. I think education requires more budget.
I think yes, it requires, definitely more budget, and I think it should reach the people more than anything else. It should reach the people.
Right. It should reach to the people.
Right. Do not think that,
That is very important.
Yes.
Everybody has to be benefited. People at large have to be included in it.
Yeah, I agree with you. And on that point only, sir, I would say that, it's like if you look at what Kejriwal has done, he's made better infrastructure. I don't know about the teachers. The teachers is something that hasn't been reported on in the news. But I myself have gone to schools here. There was a time when I was studying in Kendriya Vidyalayas, there were 1 or 2 Kendriya Vidyalayas that were good. That were even at that time doing well. But there weren't all of them. However, today he's brought up the entire periphery to another level. And him being from the administrative services, he has been able to know IRS, let's just say, he's very well versed with the structure, as an officer. He's very well with
Yes.
the structure of how to, get the bureaucrat to that level.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely right. Because if we don't mention a particular individual, if we talk about the achievement of Government of Delhi,
Yes, sir.
if we look at that point, I think education is one sector where the government has done a lot. Delhi government has done a lot.
Yes, sir.
No other state government has ever done it. So education is one sector where they have done extremely well. Even then may not be the subject of today, but even in health sector
Yes, sir.
they have done wonders.
That's Mohalla clinics. Even I've had a few open near my
Yes,
house. So
yes.
it's pretty.
Because the government has to have a will to do. If the government has will, then things can be done.
Correct, sir. So just like talking about the NEP, back to that, sir, like talking about execution, there is a prevailing challenge that
Yeah,
the Indian education system faces, like enabling teachers to deliver the NEP imagined curriculums, creating technological
right.
infrastructure, etc. How will NEP
Yeah.
sufficiently address the above challenges, sir? Like, do you think they've made any uh, point, or they've done anything to make sure that they do deal with these situations, or is it just been all in the air again?
I would say it this way. It has rightly been said that the new National Education Policy 2020
Hmm.
looks to be promising from far away. But with the reading and going further, there seem to be a lot of wrong things as well. One has to have a deeper knowledge in order to understand what all is the wrong about. As I previously said, it doesn't seem to be holistic and inclusive to every socio-economic strata, and it seems to favor only a class of people who are well off.
So, will it increase the current educational divide between the marginalized and the privileged, sir?
Definitely, definitely. If it doesn't go to those people
Yeah.
who require it most, so naturally it will create a difference.
So, I'm just confused here. So, sorry for my doubt here, but my doubt is very simple: is that the
Right.
thing is the new education policy has been made for the privileged class.
Yes, that is what I am saying, because it is the privileged class which will be benefited by it because they have access to all the
The
resources.
tools, so the tools that the education.
Underprivileged, they, yes.
Oh, sir, this is actually interesting.
Whereas it should have been opposite. It should have been made for the underprivileged people. It should have been made available to those who require it most.
Yeah, I even see that's another point I wanted to bring about is that the NEP relies upon Anganwadi workers for delivering early childhood care and education, sir. How would you
Right,
define the
right.
Anganwadi workers first, sir? And can they be expected to meet and deliver the quality targets set by NEP? Can they even imagine that they'll be able to do it?
Yes, of course. See, the digitization prescribes in the national education policy that seems to hamper the inclusiveness, as I said, and drives a divide between the marginalized and privileged.
Okay, sir.
The fact is that it is mandatory as per the new policy to be educated till class 6 in their mother tongue. That seems to be regressive. Not all of us come from the same socio-economic background,
Yes, sir.
as I feel that it is, I feel it like this doesn't help in leveling the field. I think it is important that the basic education be given in English, as has been the trend for so many years in past.
Correct.
This enables a better understanding at a later stage as well. Additionally, I feel that the mother tongue can be learned as a second language,
Yes, sir.
so that there is upliftment of the local culture also. Now, coming back to your second part of the question,
Yes, sir.
over 85% of a child cumulative brain development occurs prior to the age of 6,
Yes, sir.
indicating the critical importance of appropriate care and stimulation of the brain in the early years in order to ensure healthy brain development and growth. So I feel that this can also be, this could have been, made in a better way.
Of course, sir, of course. And I also feel that
Yeah.
like as you're speaking and as much as I've read that NEP may privatize and commercialize the institutions. As we know
Yes.
today, a lot of people get free education in DU, or well, not free, but at very reasonable rates, sir. DU
At a reasonable rate.
government institutions, it's
Yeah.
very reasonable. In fact, the premier institutions in this country are all government. IIT, National Law Schools, DU, JNU,
Yes.
or Jamia. For all of those matters, they all privatize government institutions. So what I think when I read the NEP was that it may privatize and commercialize these institutions, leading to fee hikes and reduction in employment security, sir. Would you like to address that issue, sir?
See, the education in our country already have a fee structure. Wherever you go, it already has a fee structure. Somewhere it is low, somewhere it is high.
Yes, sir.
Like Delhi University, you mentioned about Delhi University is little reasonable.
Very.
But the private institutions are charging very high fee.
Yes, sir.
So they have a structure that is resemblance with the private institution, but the difference in fee is much more. As the private institution, as I already said, are charging much more than the Delhi University example you have given.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I believe that further privatization will cause further fee hikes, because wherever you have privatization has always charged more. So, and there is no employment security.
Yes, sir. True.
Employment is not there. No employment sources are generated. So there is no employment security. So that I think it should be the role of the government to ensure job and employment security as well, so that youth of our country, they get the job, insured job.
Yes, sir.
So that I feel is important.
I understand, sir. I understand, because most of the time when you do
Yeah.
back, a lot of whether DU or JNU, the most prominent people from our country, or even are actually from Delhi University,
Right.
from a government institution, and it's an honor to be in a government institution in our country. And
Absolutely.
I don't.
The quality in at least Delhi University and JNU, I think it is uncomparable.
True, sir. True. Completely.
Because it is not only that the education is being imparted, it is the overall development of the personality of students which is developed in these institutions.
It is, sir. And it gives you from what I understand, anyone who studied in this university says there is no judgment. Everybody is welcome. It's a very diverse thing from top to bottom. Everybody sits at the same table. They all talk, and it gives you it's a very cultural education.
It gives you right. It gives a very good environment.
Yes, sir.
It gives a good environment to everyone, and everyone has chance to learn so many things.
True, sir. True. And this NEP could just jeopardize that for the entire country. But I feel the way it's going. And do you think NEP will become a reality, or is it feasible in a country like India? Do you think it will be there? Or
See, there was education policy in past as well. There have been policies in the previous governments also. This government has not brought, as I said, that any new thing, except that internet dependability has been made necessary, and there are it is actually made this policy of National Education Policy 2020. It has been made subsequently. Now it has been made a country like India, where there is not enough resources for everyone. There is a difference with the socio-economic background of people. I think it is imperative that everyone should be given equal opportunities and a common starting point, so that they are able to achieve their full potentials. So I feel it is not making much difference as is being advertised.
Correct.
I think the advertisement is more, the reality is less.
True, sir. That is a problem with a
Yes.
lot of time now. So, sir, what are the changes you think
Yeah.
should be incorporated in the NEP, sir?
I feel that it should be made accessible to each and every person. Internet dependability should not be that much. It should be made available to underprivileged people because they require the education more. Thirdly, I would say that the resources for the employment should be generated with this education, which is the basic and the biggest flaw in it, because the employment is not generated. Unless the employment is generated, you, after your education also,
Yes.
what are you going to achieve?
Correct. Correct. Thank you.
Like you have got a professional qualification,
Yes, sir.
you have got a professional degree.
Yes.
Now we all people, we practice law, we are on our luck, what we do,
Yes.
how we succeed,
Yes, sir.
but we are not for employment.
Correct, sir.
But those who are doing MBA, those who are doing other professional courses where they require job, the job scope is not there. So unless it is a job oriented policy, I mean, it is of no consequence.
I understand, sir. But then what we've understood till now is that first, it is not really making the people job worthy, first. Second, it is
Yeah.
creating a divide. It is creating an institutional privatization of institutions. So, from all of those things that we have combined, it is not that great a policy. It is something that needs to be amended
No.
substantially, substantially. And if it's done, then it'll be very good for the rural sectors and everything. So, sir, any other point of view you would have, like not point of view, I would say recommendations you would have for the policy.
As I mentioned it to you, that the policy has to be something which is for all, which is for everyone.
Correct.
It is not only to a class of people who will be benefited, it should be made available to those who require it more. Internet dependability has to be removed. It has to go, to each and every person. That is not the spirit of the government. I think that is the basic point where they are lacking.
Yes, sir. Basically, it's not an assimilative policy. They're not looking after everyone. They're only looking at a certain point.
They are not looking after everyone. They have to be included. Everyone has to be included in it.
Everybody has to be taken care of from this point of view. I totally agree, sir. I totally agree with that.
Yes.
It's very interesting. Thank you, sir. Your point of view on the NEP has really given me a more broader point of view. In fact, I've been reading about it for a couple of days, but this half an hour conversation with you has opened my mind way more than anything else from that point of view.
Right.
So yes, definitely, sir. And I hope this takes place because I think education is the very basis of this country. If you look at
that is the very important subject, education, because this in this country our first education minister was Maulana Azad.
Okay.
So those who are coming now, it's the ministry, it is called Ministry of HRD. Ministry of HRD is basically Ministry of Education. So earlier it used to be Ministry of Education.
Yes.
So Maulana Azad was in this ministry. People are stepping in his shoes. I mean, we have to go further.
Yes, sir.
We have to go further. What has been done in 1950s has to be carried forward.
Yes, sir.
But nothing in that direction is being done. I gave this suggestion to Mr. Kapil Sibal, who was also Minister of HRD in UPA 1 at one point of time, that you have stepped into the shoes of Maulana Azad. Therefore, and you being a lawyer and a vigilant person in all respect, you should bring good changes in education policy.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
But I think I think a lot is to be done. A lot is to be done. More educationists have to be involved in it, and then only I think it can reach to many more.
I believe that too, sir. Because if you look at it, I think one of the most famous stories we hear from every parent, like this is a joke. No, I won't say from every parent, but you hear as a joke from people that हम ट्यूबलाइट के नीचे बैठ के पढ़ते थे and everything. Because education is the ladder that makes you traverse major gaps in your life. If you are from a very,
Right.
from a very poor family, if you just do your education right and nothing else, you will make something of yourself in the long run. And that is very important.
See, many people who are clearing IAS and IPS exams,
Yes, sir.
they all see this struggle, and those who are lesser privileged, majorities of those nowadays in last 4-5 years, majority is of those who are excelling in it.
True.
So, but we have to provide them infrastructure. We have to provide them their basic needs, and looking at the way, because if people from Bihar, if you see the internet accessibility, they won't get in their villages.
Nowhere.
Maybe in cities they get. But in many areas, I have seen myself, even in Himachal.
Yes.
If I have been to Himachal 7-8 times in during this lockdown period, I have found there is no internet accessibility in villages.
True, sir.
Even Kasoli is a very famous hill station where internet accessibility is very low.
So if you go a little to the other side of Dwarka, you don't get any internet. I've been there. So when you go there, you can...
So if you are doing something with the internet, something connected to internet,
Yeah.
then first of all you have to give the internet connectivity everywhere.
Correct. I agree with you.
So then only it can reach to many more people. It can reach to everyone.
True, I agree with that, sir. So internet is a major problem, but that I think is something that HRD can't really do much about. Is like this is telecommunication, and whatever revolution you see in the internet, it's still not enough. And that is why what HRD or the NEP needs to do is remove the internet part and try and get education directly there. But how would that happen?
Yes,
If you can't use technology, what would you suggest, sir? Like, what would be the other way?
There are other resources. Either the internet should be made accessible to everyone. Either that has to be done, or there are other modes by which you can reach to underprivileged people. You can reach to remote villages. You can reach to remote towns where people require education.
Yep.
So that the government is one. Ministry of HRD or Ministry of Telecommunication, the government is one. So they can very well do it.
I get it.
Government has the resources.
It is more of developing a more reliable system that goes from the center to the government to the district to the village. So that would be.
It has to go till the villages. That's what I am trying to emphasize, that it has to go to the villages. Town, city, district, it has gone.
Okay. Yes.
It will go.
Okay.
But villages are very important.
I get it, sir.
It has to go to the villages.
Yes. I completely understand that, sir. Thank you, sir. I thank you so much for your time. It's always an honor. Always an honor to talk to you. I always am a little smarter after I've ended my conversation with you versus when I started it. So I always feel that, sir. Thank you, sir. It's absolute.
Sure, you're welcome. Always welcome. All the best.
Always, sir. Thank you for your time, sir. And thank you for the great insights. This is Mr. Gautam, sir. He has given us a great insight on the NEP. And he's, like I've said, a very renowned individual. Has had more record than I can even talk about it. So, great, sir. Thank you for your time, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
Bye, sir.